Alrighty, it is time for the final match of the knockout tournament for Seal of Orichalcos. It is Pegasus going up against Valon, who you wouldn't have thought both of these decks would have been the ones to make it to the finals. Valon's deck, the Psyframe that's been used since none of his cards actually exist, isn't really that strong of a deck, but it is devious enough that if it draws the right cards, it can get the opponent's cards off the field. Pegasus, on the other hand, his Toon cards actually match up very well against Valon. You'll be able to get direct attacks if he has Toon World on the field, and Valon may have a tough time actually blocking all of it. He's started off here, he's gone with Pot of Duality. Ooh, there's a Mystical Space Typhoon. It's a useful card for him because Valon wants to avoid Toon World being on the field as much as he possibly can. Alright, to the end phase, and in turn change, Pegasus has drawn Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. And he's just used the Toon Table of Contents. He can use that to draw Toon Kingdom, which is a better card than the standard Toon World. Psyframe Gear Delta's effect is activated. Now the issue with the Psyframe cards is that when they call themselves to the field like this, they are banished at the end of the turn, so Toon Table of Contents' effect has been negated, which will stop Pegasus from drawing Toon Kingdom out, but Valon will lose both of these cards at the end of the turn. Okay, he's set Toon Gemini Elf. Maybe thinking they were going to stay on the field, but the 2500 attack and the Psyframe, they're both banished, so Valon doesn't play anything from his hand, so he's going to have to hope that he's got some defensive. He's just drawn Toon Kingdom as well, which is now really bad for Valon. Valon does have Mystical Space Typhoon in hand. And he can go with the Dark Magician Girl here, and it looks like he will. Flicking over the comments now as well. Could go for Mimicat here as well, Pegasus. And he does. The only card he can get from it is Pot of Duality, but still, that is a fairly useful card. See the top 3 cards of your deck and pick the best one. Silas DC says, I don't expect you to say this on your answers and questions, but I already saw Randy Orton eating John Cena. Monday Night Raw just clinched it. John only needed to win, so he had the most championship wins. Now he's pretty much done. It'll be interesting to see what happens before he loses it. Well, he is scheduled for a few dates, Cena, so he must have some sort of program up until it said that this one was going to be his last WrestleMania. I'd be surprised if he didn't do next year's WrestleMania. But maybe he won't. Maybe he'll lose it at like SummerSlam or Survivor Series. One of the big 4 events, being the Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam or Survivor Series. Maybe he'll end at Survivor Series. Be like a War Games match or something. If Team Cena loses and Cena retires. Valon plays Emergency Teleport. Special summon 1 level 3 or lower psychic monster from your hand or deck. But I believe it's removed. It's banished at the end of the turn. Psyframe Gear Delta has come. Oh, in good play. So a tribute. And now Pegasus is in trouble. Psyframe Driver, 2500 attack, and that won't be removed at the end of the turn now. SCH-292. Actually, is Cosmic Hand going to be able to steal Cyframe Driver. There's Mistake. Maybe it was a mistake by Konami not to make Valon's cards in real life, and there it is. So Cyframe Driver has now been taken, and now Toon Rollback. That's going to allow Cyframe Driver to attack twice. So Valon could be losing 5,000 points on this turn, unless anything in his hand can prevent. There's one. Cyframe Gear Beta comes to defense mode. That'll pull another Cyframe Driver to the field as well. But at the end of the turn, they'll both be banished again. Alright, there goes Cyframe Driver. Although Pegasus only has high levels in his hand. SCH 292, in my list of order, it should be Pegasus first, Keith second, but his deck needs to be buffed and retuned. After that, Thirsty, Simp, Wafu, Johnny, Steps, LOL. I think that's for the who should take on Battle City next. We'll have to do a little series with Johnny Steps at some point. Pegasus has nothing to play. Valon's got a face down defense on the field. He does have a monster that's 0 attack and 1800 defense. It's possibly that. Silas DC. If you're going to have him play Toon deck in anything above GX, you definitely need to adjust it, because he should not have Toon Ancient Gear Golem, or the other cards from that era. I think there's only two. One's Ancient Gear Golem, I think the other one's Cyber Dragon. But they're the only two Toon cards that are like GX monsters. I don't know, I think the Battle City decks would be able to handle Ancient Gear Golem and Cyber Dragon. The higher up ranking ones. What did Jaden's Battle City run end up as? Was that 14-2? I don't think Pegasus will win every game in Battle City. I reckon as soon as he gets to like the last 5 or 6, I reckon he'll get absolutely thumped, because if he doesn't draw a good hand, he can lose very quickly. There's Toon Masked Sorcerer. Not only that, all the Toons need to wait a turn before they can attack, which really does put them at a disadvantage. Alright, there's Mimicat. Can steal Valon's Cyframe Driver. Could go for a double tribute, but he's elected not to. Toon Masked Sorcerer attacks, so it's going to allow Pegasus to draw cards from his deck, so it's a useful effect as well. Moonwolfie says, saw the matchup and knew that Pegasus was going to beat Raphael. I think this new Toon deck against Battle City could be interesting. And also Moonwolfie, I'm pretty sure I got the Yugioh starter deck first. I know I had a few Legend of Blue Eyes and Metal Raiders booster packs. I think I had some Pharaoh's Servant boosters also. I can't remember the names of all the booster packs that I got cards from. That wasn't a starter deck or a tin. I believe I also had Joey's starter deck and later got his Red Eyes Black Dragon tin. I remember getting that tin as well. They come with a lot of Magician's Force booster packs. The Wind Up Rabbit has been played. Toon Briefcase's effect was about to send it back to Valon's hand. Valon's utilised its effect to... Oh, sorry, it wasn't going to go back to the hand, it was going to go back to the deck. But Valon used its banish effect, so it'll come back next turn. There's Soul Exchange, and it's starting to go south for Valon here. He's possibly going to... Well, Blue Eyes Toon Dragon and Manga Ryuran, they're the older Toons. They require 500 points to attack, but the Toon Ancient Gear Golem looks like he's going to make his appearance here. Even though he can do piercing damage, he's really no different from Blue Eyes Toon Dragon if he's on the field with Toon World, because you more opt for the direct attack anyway. Emperor Pikachu says, great series idea. I remember the starter decks. My first card was the Dark Magician. From it, ran over it with my bike all those years ago, unfortunately. It's amazing when we were kids how for granted we took some of the things that we had. Especially old Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So, Ancient Toon Gear Golem on the field. Both Toon monsters are able to attack directly. As well, Valon may be in a bit of trouble here. Doesn't even need to utilize Ancient Toon, or Toon Ancient Gear Golem's piercing damage, because with Toon World on the field, you can attack directly with Toons if your opponent doesn't control a Toon monster, and Valon's lost almost half his points. Toon table of contents drawn from the effect of Toon Masked Sorcerer. Rare Hunter Gaming says, hi, great idea with the old starter decks. I'm excited to see what new videos come out. Greetings from Germany. It's watching the old starter decks play against each other is just such a sense of nostalgia, as well as Wind Up Rabbit has come to attack mode. And it has just destroyed the Toon Masked Sorcerer. Valon's still in a lot of strife here. He's still looking at a direct attack. There's Toon table of... Shadow Toon. Oh, that's a good card too. So he'll be able to select the attack points of Wind Up Rabbit, take it out of Valon's life points, and now he can attack directly with Toon Ancient Gear Golem, so it may be all over in a second here. There's Mimicat. And steals the Psy-Frame driver again. Philippe Moral 7409 says, nice video, bro. I believe that may be a new name. I don't know if I've seen that name before. If not, thanks for commenting, Philippe. Welcome to the channel, and glad you enjoyed the starter deck. Starter deck Yugi versus starter deck Kaiba. As this could be it here for Valon, unless he can block. He's just his Wind Up Rabbit's effect. But unless Valon can block here, he will concede the first match. A few turns in it, although a lot of the turns were skipped about mid of that match. Pegasus has picked up the first win. Alejandro Fernandez says, man, this was a nostalgia trip. The feeling of being 107 years old aside, this was fun to watch. Simpler times, not necessarily better or worse, just simpler and less worries. I remember getting the Yugi starter deck and my dad getting Kaiba. We played so much. Amazing. It really was a simpler time back then, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh. Alright, match 2. From Valon's perspective this time. There's Psy-Frame Overload, there's 2 of them actually. That's the card that Valon would want to draw first, however he's only got one Psy monster in his hand. He has got a Dark Hole there as well. Psy-Frame Overload. Oh dear. I believe that may have been a misclick from Valon. Because you can target your own cards with it as well. Oh, it's not too bad. He does have another Psy-Frame Overload that he can just play. He has lost his defense shield there. There's... Oh, then again, Toon Kingdom. Because Psy-Frame Overload... You banish your monster. Does that then destroy? It does. It destroys... No, actually, I believe it banishes it. Well, either way, 2 Toon monsters straight off the bat for Pegasus. Dark Hole will not work now because Toon Kingdom will be able to protect them as well. That's the thing about Toon Kingdom. If the Toons are targeted to get destroyed, Toon Kingdom can banish a card from the top of Pegasus's deck. There's Emergency Teleport. Wind Up Rabbit's still on the field. And he's got no choice. He has to try and play it, but Toon Kingdom will remove 2 cards from the top of the deck. Wind Up Rabbit. It's gone. Even so, Wind Up Rabbit only at 1400. So Cyframe Overload's played, but Valon's completely cooked. So now this is all the weaknesses of the Cyframe deck being exposed here, or at least this version of it at the in-game one made. Because with the Cyframes, if you're constantly chucking cards out of your hand, you will end up... There's Cyframe Delta. And he goes for Toon World. Will that destroy... Oh no, because it wasn't destroyed, it was banished. So the Toon monsters likely will be able to just stay on the field, because Toon World actually has to be destroyed. As it says in card text, banish is different from destroyed. There's Cyframe Gear Epsilon, Kiflam, as they say, for the Epsilon program in GTA. Alright, Valon's getting a bit back on track here, but Toon Defense... Toon Mermaid can't even really be attacked. Either it doesn't matter what Valon would have played here. Hasn't drawn a great functioning hand. But the Toon deck matches up well against it. There's Toon Table of Contents, and yeah, Valon's cooked. But what more can we do for Valon's deck? I have to try add him some normal psychic monsters at a level 4 and lower, just to give Valon that little bit of an extra boost. Because although he has made it to the end of this tournament, so the deck can't be that bad. Shard of Greed, well, it's a bit of a lackluster match. There's one more comment, Silas DC. Interesting thing is, Summon Skull was a number one offering monster for several sets. Nothing beat its 6-star power level. And at the time, La Jin was one of the highest 4-star power level monsters. As we see, Pegasus gets a win, and he's done it pretty easily in the end. At the time, La Jin was one of the highest 4-star powers level monsters. But as you said, once a person was ahead, it was hard for the other person to match up. And I could be wrong, but I don't think Kaiba won any of those. You really needed that ultimate offering card, but it's banned. Yeah, pretty much. And yes, I think Yugioh did win 5-0 in that series as well. Well, this one is over. Pegasus has been crowned the champion of the Seal of Orichalcos Knockout Tournament. So we will go into season mode shortly as well. But I think I might go live for a little bit and collect some more cards on the other profile. Thanks everybody for tuning in, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, take care, farewell.